welcome to Whisky Wednesday. Another Wednesday, another whisky review. I'm Joe Ellis, and this is my 100th review, so time for something extremely special. This is my very good friend Craig Mills.
Hello.
This is the guy who basically got me into the whisky industry, so I've got a lot to thank him for. And because it's my 100th review, and because Craig has got me kind of into the industry, I thought, let's review the Glenlivet 70-year-old whisky. One of the 3 oldest whiskies ever made. Gordon MacPhail in 2010 bottled the world's first whisky, the first 70-year-old whisky. They bottled a Mortlach 70-year-old, and then the year after that they bottled the first Glenlivet 70-year-old. They released 100 70cl decanters and then 75 20cl decanters, and in the year after, this is the second release where they bottled 100 of the full-size decanters. The second release, obviously this is a sample. I'll now pour it out, give it a little bit of time to breathe, and yeah, this is the first time I've ever tried, well, we've both tried anything of this age.
Quite clearly probably the oldest whisky either of us will probably ever have in our lifetime. Quite an exciting moment. Probably the only third time I've ever had anything older than myself at the time, and I'm not 50 by the way.
And I don't think it's even 3cl. I think that's about a 10cl sample.
There's not going to be a lot to go around, let's put it that way.
So we're both going to have a little taste. We're both going to have a little nose.
Do you want to go first?
I will obviously first a little bit about it. You get with this. I won this, by the way. Very, very, very thankful to the guys Neil and Joel at Cask Strength blog. Won this from a blog a while back, so I couldn't believe I won it. And I promised the guys I would drink it, review it. So here I am. So this is the book that you get with it. Obviously gives you a history of the decanter, the whiskey, etc, etc. Obviously you can find all this online as well. So yeah, this is a 70-year-old. It's a single cask bottling, as most independent bottles are. Distilled in 1940 on 3rd of February and then bottled in 2010. It's natural cask strength. It's only 45.9%. So for cask strength, when you think of cask strength, you normally think of, above 50. But because it's so old, it's dropped in strength over the years, and then you do get a nice little, like a USB stick with all the information on as well. Just thought I'd show you that. A little bit more about the actual Gordon MacPhail themselves. They sold a lot of
they sold this package that eventually became this bottle in the 1980s, so most of the lifespan, the aging of this whisky would have been done at the warehouse space that Gordon MacPhail owned. So it's a lot of foresight to have somebody to have actually thought to lie this down for 70 years. Now, first impressions, just nosing that for the first time, is deceptively youthful for something that's 70 years old. Just the colour of it alone, you would never think that is first fill sherry cask aged whisky. For those of you who've had your older Macallans, Glendronachs, etc., obviously a lot darker in colour. But just literally on the first impression of my nose, it almost smells quite youthful and vibrant still. Okay. Waxy kind of citrus and orange. I will hand it over. He's obviously desperate to get his nose stuck in there.
Let's have a little go. You can almost...
First impression is you wouldn't necessarily think it's a 70-year-old whisky.
It smells pretty distinctive, let's put it that way. But yeah, like, when you do think, obviously casks back then, there would have been different cask management. The sherry being produced would have been slightly different to what it is now. The production methods wouldn't have been as refined as they are now, not quite as kind of clinical and exact as they are now. So, that's first fill, but
it doesn't scream out sherry, does it?
It doesn't scream out big, bold, dense Christmas cake. So, I mean, notes-wise, I'm getting something like kind of orangey.
Yeah, definitely sort of a waxy kind of orange. Almost kind of candied citrus of some sort.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of marzipan as well.
Almost like a lemon sponge cake kind of icing or something going on there.
I mean, if you want to look at the colour,
amazingly fresh.
Isn't that dark? I mean, there's 12-year-old whiskies that are darker than that. Well, depending on whether they add caramel. Obviously, this is natural colour, of course, or you'd hope. No, it is. A little bit of rose, maybe rose here. Pass it back to Craig. Obviously this is going to take a while because we've only got a small sample. We're passing it back. Craig's got an insanely good nose, so I'm sure he'll come up with some great notes.
As you can tell.
So, yeah.
Almost, if I'm being really sort of poncy, almost that kind of powderiness you get in real rose and lemon Turkish delight at Christmas. That powderiness. Amazingly fresh for something that's 70 years old. I was expecting something a lot denser, a lot more sort of closed, maybe more influence of the cask. But it's a freshness and a vibrancy to this that is quite surprising. Almost kind of like tangerine kind of orange as well.
At the moment I just can't believe I'm tasting this. I've had it in my house for like well over a year and a half. It's sat there.
And I have tried to tempt him to sort of say, keep this will pay your mortgage one day, or at least a deposit on a mortgage. So, again, many thanks.
But I just thought, you know what? I've got the opportunity to try it. I need to try this whiskey. It's one of the only chances I'll ever get to try it. People at Glenlivet, I really hope you're watching this review. It'd be fantastic to get some kind of feedback on it. I will obviously tag you on Twitter.
I could literally spend just an hour just sniffing that, nosing that. There's a real nice kind of oiliness to it as well.
I'm getting a little bit of kind of almost like, did you say resin before? I'm getting like a little bit of resin, a little bit of cedarwood.
Sappiness.
Yeah, that's it, yeah, sappy.
Sappiness.
It kind of smells a little bit leathery as well, a kind of soft leather. Orange. There's almost kind of too much.
There is multi-layers of interest to this whiskey for sure.
Smells amazing. Do you think it's ready for a taste?
Get stuck in.
Right, obviously small amount, so only a small amount. Might not be able to do the old three tasting.
Try and hold it in the mouth as long as you can.
Yeah. What do they say at all the tastings? A year, a second for every year.
We'll see you in 70 seconds.
See you in 70 seconds. Right. Oh my god. Now considering that's first fill, a lot of the time if you taste a first fill single cask whiskey, all you're getting is oak. But with this, considering how old it is, it's one of the oldest whiskies on the market. There's no whiskey that's older than 70 years old. It's not been affected, it's not over oaked.
The oak does not dominate.
No, not at all. There's notes of vanilla, there's beech I'm getting, a little bit of pine, a little bit of that resin, and then all the fruit comes through, so I'm getting kind of squeezed citrus, a little bit of citrus oil.
Tropical fruit, mango. There's almost kind of sugared almonds, like that one sort of confectionery kind of sweetness, and then it becomes really zingy towards the end. And there's all sort of almost kind of those kind of strange lemon and orange segments you have on top of children's cakes, that fizziness.
Christmas decoration things. I love I don't know about you, but the mouthfeel was kind of real kind of creamy,
just an elegance, creaminess, oiliness. There's kind of, normally with first fill sherry cask or any quality whiskey, you kind of get this roller coaster ride. But there's a subtlety to this. It's almost a masterclass in kind of subtlety of different layers, but without one layer kind of dominating the other. There's just this lovely kind of almost log flume,
it's like an ebb and flow of
elegance of flavours. It's not a powerhouse whiskey, but it's certainly for me just a masterclass in whiskey in terms of the balance and the elegance of something that is this old.
I know. You would honestly, if you tasted that blind and you were asked to guess how old it was, there's no way you'd say it was 70 years old, and I think that speaks volumes for the cask. I don't think, well, I hope they release something older, but I just don't know if anything will last the age. But if anyone's going to do it, it'll probably be Gordon and MacPhail, because I think they've got the provenance casks. They've got the range.
Which will do with that dribble.
I think I'm gonna this last little bit, and I'll give you a few more tasting notes.
I think the only off note for me is that it doesn't necessarily linger around that long. While it's in the mouth, it's beautiful and vibrant, but maybe the age So it's something quite sort of maybe lacking just in the finish. It doesn't linger around as long as you maybe expect it would be.
No, the finish is it's
quite short.
It's not as long as you hope it would be for a 70-year-old, but it's a pleasant finish. You get a little bit of dryness in the finish, which kind of brings it out because it's always kind of tropical fruit. I'm getting a little bit of passion fruit, a little bit of kind of dried papaya. There's a slight kind of nuttiness to it as well. Like I think you said dried almonds.
Almost like a sort of sugared almonds or praline kind of elements.
It's quite a nice mouth feel. I think that's fantastic. Kind of just this oily creaminess. Before I did this review, I was thinking, umming and ahhing whether or not to give it a score because there's nothing else like it that I've tried. So it's about 18, 19, 20 grand a bottle. Obviously, there's not many left now. It's insanely expensive whiskey.
This is almost the Tom Waits of the whiskey world. It's a genre to itself.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is what it is, I think.
It is. I mean, I don't know whether I even should give it a score. I think it's a fantastic whiskey. It's up there possibly with some of the best whiskies, the most elegant whiskies I've ever tried. So, I mean, do you think, okay, Craig, do you think I should score it?
It's almost unfair to sort of just say 8 out of 10. It's almost just a flippant sort of, good, but a bit lacking in the finish because you have to sort of judge it for what it is. It is almost a one-off whiskey, really, that we'll probably never get to try again. No, and
so for that reason, I'm not going to score it. I know it's controversial because I scored every other whiskey review, but the very reason that it's in a league of its own, it's a complete genre in and of itself.
We just agree it's a masterclass in something that is this old, because often when we've tried older whiskies, we've tried sort of 50, 60-year-old whiskies, it is, the dominant flavour is all about the oak. Amazing elegance and just a real masterclass in subtlety for me.
Yeah, I think it's just awesome, and I'm so privileged to have tried this.
Just a shame there wasn't more.
It's a shame I can't afford a full-size bottle. Obviously, as always, thank you so much for watching. Guys at Glenlivet and Gordon MacPhail, if you are watching, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment on Twitter or Facebook or the video, send me a message. Let me know what you think of my review. I'd love to hear from you. Love the whiskey. Love to try it again, so if you want to...
Yeah, send us another package.
Yeah, I should be so lucky. Thank you to Craig.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And I will see you next week, guys, for yet another Whiskey Wednesday. Here has been the oldest whiskey I've ever tasted. Probably ever will, and one of the oldest whiskies in the world. Thank you, guys, and I will see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. See you next week, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.